Michelle, thank you so much. And Nick, thank you so much for those remarks. And we'll turn it over to you in a moment. But first, I was wondering if you could just kick off by telling us a little bit about the Omidyar network.
Well, first off, this is such a great room, and it is such an honor and privilege to be here. I want to thank my friends at Microsoft and Naria, my dear friend Nick, to just have the idea to get amazing people together in one room. There is a power in convening and sharing information, and I think many of us coming out of COVID, we forgot the power of being in a room together. And so I just want to thank you for your leadership here. The Omidyar Network, we are a philanthropic venture. So what is that? So we believe in supporting and funding the culture of tech, what tech should look like, who should be a part of it, what are the creative narratives around it, the business of tech. So the companies, the startup founders, the ideas, the investors who are helping to fund this movement, and finally, the governance of tech. We work with our friends at the McGovern Foundation, working with multinationals like the UN and others, thinking about what is the worldwide governance of this amazing technology, and how are we making sure that that is a multi-stakeholder process that everyone has an opportunity to engage. But I want to start with one other thing. Oftentimes you'll see in your laptop, on someone's laptop, that there are stickers, right? Have you all seen stickers on someone's laptop? Sometimes it's a quirky thing, or you may have, on my laptop, I have a Care Bear because I have tons of children. But I also have a sticker on the back of my laptop that says, "You belong here." And I want to lead with that, because oftentimes when we have conversations about technology or who's funding or who's leading, we often hear it that it's something that's happening to us as opposed to something that we are a part of. And at our core, Omidyar Network is really focused on making sure we all feel that we are the protagonists in our digital future.
That's really wonderful. We belong here. That's so great. You know, you mentioned this a little bit, that it's not just about funding one nonprofit, but it's that creating that whole ecosystem. And kind of with that vantage point, I'm just curious about what trends that you're seeing so far regarding AI funding.
So many things. I also will have to have a fangirl moment. Who is the wonderful woman that I met from Joyce Meyer's Industries? Are you in the room? Okay, so I wanted to start with saying that there are rock stars in the room. In this room, nonprofits from all over, in your communities, you are pillars. You are the people who are leading and changing our lives on a day-to-day basis. I am a former nonprofit employee in NGO before law school and a little bit after law school when I was super broke. And I am so thankful for the leadership of nonprofit executives and talented folks who make a commitment to engaging in this work. And I think one of the things that we see is a trend is that some people are saying, okay, well, I now need to build my own AI tools. Stop, time out, you don't have to do that. We want some people to feel like you are the builder of this technology. But we also want some of the rock stars that are in the room to influence the people who are building these AI tools. And when we all see our strength and our value and what we're able to bring to this conversation, that agency I referred to earlier, that's something that we as funders and those who believe in this partnership as a real partnership want to see. One of the organizations that both the McGovern Foundation and Omidyar Network fund is something called the Responsible Youth Technology Fund, where we work with youth-led or intergenerationally led organizations who are thinking about, what does responsible technology mean to me? And so one of our groups in that cohort is called the Cyber Collective, and they work on cybersecurity, data privacy, and understanding technology for Gen Z. So they have the Riz. Do you guys know what the Riz is? Okay, no, I didn't know what the Riz is. Nobody in this room has Riz, but they do, okay? And what they do is they take these applications around cyber that many of us often think about, but they put it in terms and accessible information for the young people. And that's really one of the trends that we hope to see. Not a one-size-fits-all approach, but really who you are, your community, the needs that you have, are really developing ideas and applications to support your work.
That's great. And are there any trends too at all that you're like really giving the inside information and scoop to this room?
Yeah, well, I definitely see collaboration with multiple partners. I think your research, your ideas, the work that you're doing in communities, we're seeing groups of nonprofits or groups of organizations think about, hey, I'm really good at policy analysis. I might be really good, or I have a huge list of people who might be interested in a particular topic, and coming together to develop applications or to give insight to other builders is something that we see and we want to continue to see.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that the kids would say you have Riz.
Oh, I'm trying. My 14-year-old would disagree, but that's okay.
I hear you. So Nick, back over to you. And again, it was a great presentation. And I wrote this down, communities lived experience. And you really talked about that of like, how can, nonprofits bring that perspective? Because I know that often when nonprofits are trying to defend their projects or ask for funding, it's all about data and in this like specific way. And it's very hard to like quantify AI right now and be like, okay, it's hitting this metric and this target. Or is it? Is there any advice you'd have about how to kind of show the value to funders?
It's a great question. I want to say that one of the things that we think is really important as part of the answer to your question is actually, and it's something we address directly in the work that we've been doing, the community building with other philanthropies, is actually saying quite directly, this is going to require you to rethink how you think about impact measurement on a couple of levels, right? One is there's a time horizon for this work to develop, for a tool to first be built and then deployed in the context in which it's intended to be deployed, and for the impact of the tool to be felt in its programmatic context, whether it's the, measuring the efficiencies in the food pantry sort of food distribution example I came to a couple of times, right? You're not going to see that in 6 months. You may not see it in 12 months, and you may not see it until 24. And so I think there needs to be a belief and an understanding of how does the tool enable a different set of behaviors that lead to a different set of outcomes. We believe that we see that sort of logic chain that connects the tool to the outcomes. We're going to trust that it's going to get there, and we're going to broaden our appetite for risk a little bit to give it a shot. I understand that what I'm saying is essentially like it's the funders that need to sort of take that on, and I want to kind of own that and say that's something that we certainly have seen more and more institutions start to become open to. What I would share back then with those that are then seeking the funding is I understand that you're often constrained and boxed in by what the funder has asked you to tell them or provide, or the context in which they've asked you to write an application. But the more you can sort of, I think it does come back to that problem definition piece that I already spoke about, right? Like, if you take the example I gave of this grouping of, 2 different types of clients, and like, if you can quantify how not knowing the answer to that question really makes it harder for you to deliver the tidier outcomes that the funder usually asks you for, I think the more compelling your case is, that you can deliver the value that they have been asking you for, perhaps for years, and the X number of people served or cost or whatever it may be. And I think it's just being able to articulate the connection, right? That's really, really critical.
Yeah, and Michelle, I don't know if you want to add from your perspective with the Midyar Network and kind of the funding that you do of how are you approaching that kind of question of the impact and measuring the impact of the investments that you're making?
So I often say data is really at the core. It's about a story that we're telling about the people and the communities that we're working with. And so I often ask our grantees and our partners, or even some of our companies that we invest in, to like step back and think about what is the story that you want to communicate about this moment or this block of time. And what I often feel like sometimes with our partners who are on a shoestring budget that they feel like they have to answer every question and that they have to use this technology to solve all of our challenges. And I really want to disabuse anyone in this room of thinking that this technology alone is going to solve all of our challenges. I don't think it can, but what it can do is it can add some equal access to this fountain of information that is out there. It can take away one of the 12 hats that you wear every day in your roles, and it can think about, if I can do better analysis, or if I can take off one of my Superman or Superwoman capes and have a helper think through this issue with me. And so the best examples that I see are really when people think about data or AI tools and applications to augment the work that they're already doing. Not to replace, but to really augment that and to help bring greater clarification for the story that you want to communicate to funders. And I think when we kind of step back and we recognize we do have something to say here, and this is going to help me solve that particular problem, or it's going to step in and help take off one of my many roles and responsibilities, and that then enabled me to move to a deeper level of critical thinking or insight or creativity. Because what I think AI is also going to do is give us the opportunity to get to higher order level thinking and creation. And at the end of the day, I think all of us have ideas that we want to action, and we never have enough time. So let's think about what AI can do to take away some of those day-to-day pressures so that you can really experiment with some of the great work that you're doing.
That's really wonderful. Well, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot, and just because we have a really cool session tomorrow. It's going to be in the Regency Ballroom in the afternoon time block. But could you share a little bit about what you're going to do in that session? Because it's super hands-on and I think very actionable.
Of course, I'm happy to take the opportunity for commercial anytime. I have a handful of colleagues with me here in the audience, and the four of us will be facilitating a workshop that I believe we've called Smart Tech Sound Proposals.
I was like, smart tech, strong
proposals. Thank you. And what we're going to be doing is taking, so I'm going to give you three of the hallmarks of a strong proposal in my remarks a moment ago. We're going to kind of go through the whole list. We're going to talk through what it looks like to put together a proposal that represents a really, really strategic approach to technology development. Then we're going to get hands-on. We're going to review an example proposal in groups. We're going to have discussion. We're going to share sort of a revised proposal that we think demonstrates sort of a more robust approach that kind of we think is sort of an exemplar of how you want to put your best foot forward when describing plans to incorporate AI into your work. We'll have a good group of folks that are, do this every day in their work to give you advice and feedback. We're really excited. We'd love to see as many people who can join us there.
Yeah, so bring your ideas and they can help you workshop to actually think about how to bring those to life.
And may throw out one more plug only because we have the time. For those that can't join us, a lot of what we'll talk about is actually available at PGMF's Learning Hub, which is a place that we have put up a number of resources to help organizations along their AI journey. It's at learn.mcgovern.org. It's very easy to remember, learn.mcgovern.org. And so if you miss us tomorrow, you'll be able to find all those materials there as well.
That's awesome. And Michelle, last question to you, because Omidyar is all about collaboration and partnership, and we have lots of different, folks from all types of sectors, and you anchored really on like those partnership proposals as well. Just curious about like what are some like one or two hot takes on partnership and collaboration best practices during this time?
I'm going to give you three quick things. One, you are the person best positioned to tell your story. So think about what is the unique value add of your work in the community to our friends who are watching around the world. What is your unique story that you want to tell about the work that you're doing? And then two, are there partners who can step in on pieces where you're not as strong? And if you can think about your partnership as a collection, I love to cook, as a stew that you're putting together. Someone's really good at data analysis. Someone's really good at organizing. Someone's really good at telling the story. Bringing all of those pieces together in collaboration and partnership, you're able to build a cohort, and then you can come as a collective to donors and say, look at this well-reasoned, designed group of nonprofit leaders who are ready to move to the next stage. how can you help support all of the work that we're doing? We love to see that creativity and that innovation. And again, you are the best people to tell your own story.
I love that. I want that stew.
Yes.
Okay, I want to say a huge thank you to Nick and to Michelle for an amazing panel. Thank you so much.